Hi guys, welcome back. It's Krystal. So today I have a review and demo for you guys on some new Flower Beauty palettes. These two here, these are the Lift and Sculpt contouring palettes. I picked mine up at Walmart in store for $12.98 each, which is a little bit pricey, but you know, drugstore prices are just going up and up every year. So I think the packaging is beautiful. It is white, has the rose gold detail in the front. I like that it's see-through so you can actually see the 3 pans of powder. I just think the packaging is really nice. I already reviewed the highlighting palette they came out with. I will link that video below in case you missed it. That palette is the same size as this, but the 3 highlighters it comes with are smaller pans because the palette itself does come with a brush. This particular one does not come with any brush or anything like that, which I actually prefer because I like just having bigger pans and I like to use my own brushes. I generally don't use brushes that come with palettes. So let me just tell you what it says a little bit on the back. It says made in Canada, never tested on animals, 0.29 ounces or 8.2 grams of product. I think I already told you the price. It's $12.98. It says long-lasting, buildable, and blendable, flawless finish. The powders blend easily and layer together seamlessly for a professional sculpted effect. And then it just tells you a little bit how to use it, how to apply, and also it tells you like what the bronzer, blush, and highlighter are for in case, you know, you're a beginner. So they have 2 shades, light to medium and medium to deep. I'm going to go ahead and go over the light to medium first. So in the light to medium kit, you get this bronzer here. By the way, these are super, super soft. But the bronzer is just a really nice shade. I would say it's a little bit more neutral to cool toned. It almost looks like it has like a slight pink undertone on my yellow skin. I really like the shade of this bronzer, and it's light enough where I feel like you can't go overboard with it on the cheeks. So I really like the shade of this. And then the blush in here is a cool toned pink, something that's very dupeable. And then the highlighter in here is a little bit more of a champagne shade. And the highlighters in both of these palettes are the same as 2 of the ones in the highlighting palette, in case you were curious. So the colors are the same, although the highlighting palette has a 3rd shade. So the bronzer and the blush both have a slight sheen to them. They're not glittery and they're not super shimmery. They just have a very slight sheen to them. They almost look matte in the pan, but if you look up close, they do have a little bit of a sheen to them. And then when you apply them on the skin, I feel like it gives like the subtlest sheen, nothing very detectable on the skin. These powders are very powdery. They kick up a lot of product. So I like to barely dab my brush in there, tap off the excess, blend it onto the skin. Do not swirl your brush in there because it will just kick up so much product. Even if I just swatch it like this with my fingers, like you can see how kind of chunky it looks on the fingers. It shows a lot of kick up in the pan, so I just wanted to make note of that. But overall, I love all the colors in here. I think they're really pretty. I could wear these every day. I really like cool toned and also mauve type blushes. I do like peachy ones as well, but sometimes I don't like when they lean too warm or too orange on me. So this one, I think the colors are really pretty. The highlighter in here is my favorite product. I feel like the highlighters are very intense and very glowy. They sit nicely on the skin. They blend beautifully. You can wear them sheer or intense. I feel like they go on pretty intense initially, but you can take a powder brush and diffuse the shimmer and it looks more sheer when you do that. And that's how I've been wearing mine. I don't like to wear like a super metallic intense highlight. I know some people do, I personally don't. So these highlighters do go on really intense, but you can sheer them down like just by taking your powder brush over it. So I've had mixed feelings about these, honestly, you guys. I feel like sometimes when my skin was on the drier side, or if I had like a matte powder on and my face was just too matte or too dry, or my skin was just not hydrated enough, I feel like the powders, well, especially the bronzer, it was mostly the bronzer where I felt like it looked a little patchy because I felt like when I blended it, it blended away some of the product. So I would recommend not over blending because these are so soft and finely milled. I mean, they're very silky to the touch, but like I said, they're very powdery, do kick up a lot of product. The bronzer specifically just, I feel like got a little bit patchy, especially in this area on my face. I do have acne scars, so this won't be an issue necessarily for everybody, but I just wanted to make note of what it did to my skin. So I have acne scars right here, and I feel like when I blended the bronzer, it blended away a little too much just because it's so soft. and my skin wasn't like hydrated, or it was just too matte with the powder foundation I was wearing, or it just looked patchy in that area. So just keep note of that if you have like dry skin. The blushes are actually pretty pigmented, and I didn't have so much of an issue with those, but they are very powdery, so I just would barely dab your brush in there and then apply them to your skin. And I feel like they're pigmented, but you can like blend them away a little bit so they're not so intense. So overall, my favorite product is just the highlighter. I do think these are okay. They're not my favorite bronzer and blushes, but I don't think they're horrible either. They're just very, very soft, and the bronzer can tend to blend away a little too much if you have like drier skin. I feel like it didn't want to adhere to my skin, you know what I mean? So that was my little issue with the palettes. I've used them several times, and in the demo, I don't even know if you're going to be able to tell that it looks a little bit patchy in this area where I have acne scars. But that bronzer specifically, I love the shade of it, and I feel like I can't go overboard with it. All right, so let's go over the medium to deep palette. So again, both the bronzer and the blush, it's pretty much the same situation with those. I felt like the bronzer could blend away a little bit too much and look patchy on my particular skin, but I don't think that's going to be a problem for everybody. They are very powdery. When I touch them with my fingers or use a brush, they just kick up a lot of product, but they are very smooth and silky to the touch. They're just very, very powdery. So this bronzer is obviously deeper in tone. I would say it's still pretty neutral. I'm going to try to redo my clips of these swatches. I feel like when I did them last time, because I tried to film this video before, this is my second time, I felt like the swatches up close look a lot warmer than they were in real life. So I've adjusted my lighting and my camera settings a little bit, so I hope it's more true to color now. Otherwise, I will just insert a picture. But I would say it's more maybe neutrally. As far as the blush, it looks a little bit mauve-y to me in the pan, but when I swatch it on my skin or put it on my cheeks, I feel like it warms up and it looks a little bit more like a warm pinky peach color. I'm terrible at describing shades, guys. Like if I blend it too much into my skin, I mean, look at it there and then look at it right here. Doesn't it look more warm on my skin than it does in the pan? I just found that to be the case with that one. It just kind of warms up once you put it onto the skin, which I actually prefer the shade that it looks in here versus how it actually comes out. And then the highlighter in this palette is more of a gold shade. Even though this is gold, and I usually don't like too many gold highlighters. I'm very particular about my gold highlighters. I don't like them to be too dark, and I don't like them to be too gold, too yellow gold. This one shears out really nicely. It's just a really pretty gold. I actually really like this color. And I think it works well for me as long as I wear it pretty sheared out. I will insert swatches for you guys. So yeah, this I do like, but I prefer the first palette. I just like all the shades in there better for me. But this is meant for people with a medium to deep complexion. Although it says it's for medium to deep skin tones, I don't know that if you're super deep that this would actually show up on you. I mean, obviously the highlighter would, but I don't know if it'd be too light, like it would just look too ashy, you know what I mean? I don't know if the bronzer and the blush would really show up on you too well if you have a very dark complexion. I've been trying to use them with different brushes, different like products on my face, different foundation, different powders, just to see what the problem was as far as like the bronzer goes. But I think it was when my skin was super dry, and like today for instance, I put on the new L'Oreal Total Cover foundation, and I used this Flower Beauty translucent powder. It's the Miracle Matte Translucent Finishing Powder. This smooths the skin really nicely, but it is very matte. So I felt like it looks a little bit like patchy here. I don't even know if you guys can tell if it will translate on camera, but I feel like it looks patchy. The bronzer anyway, not the blush. The blush was fine. But those are my thoughts on these two palettes. If I had to choose a palette, I would definitely say get the highlighter palette. I absolutely love that palette. As far as these go, I think they're okay. I don't hate them, but I don't love them either. I just think they're okay. I just like the highlighters the best. That's why I prefer the highlighting palette. So if you guys have tried these palettes, let us know your thoughts down in the comment section. I would love to know. I know other people like to read other people's thoughts on products. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I love you guys. Have an amazing day.